Yesterday, my sources confirmed that Canon would provide a development announcement for the Canon EOS R1. And just after midnight, that's exactly what we got. Along with a press release, Canon delivered this brief teaser video. So there you go. There's our first glimpse of the flagship camera, the Canon EOS R1, for the very first time, showing its bold and smooth lines. So there you go. For the very first time, we get to see Canon's flagship mirrorless camera, the jack of all trades, the master of everything, for the very first time with its bold but smooth lines. And while the press release wasn't as detailed as its predecessor for the 1DX Mark III, we learned that E8M8888 wasn't too far off with some of his leaks. The camera employs a newly developed image processor Digic accelerator in addition to the pre-existing processor, the Digic X. This is a first for Canon. Normally, we get a new image processor with a new flagship mirrorless camera. But this time we get an accelerator, a co-processor to help, well, handle a lot of the load. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Digic X does have a slightly modified version. It's a little bit more efficient. Maybe it has a few more transistors. I don't expect it to be an exact copy of the Digic X, but in terms of the capabilities, yeah, we're getting the same image processor. Interesting, right? Canon goes on to say that the new image processing system, composed of these processors and a new CMOS sensor, enables a large volume of data. And this is very important here. It enables a large volume of data to be processed at high speeds and deliver never before seen advancements in autofocus as well as other functions. Now, you probably will recall all those patent application videos that I put out over the past, well, 6 months. Due to the lack of information, leaked information on the Canon EOS R1, I figured this is the best way to find out what Canon's been spending all their hard-earned research and development dollars on. And I found a lot. I'm talking about dozens of patent applications that talk about improving the autofocus system, that talk about improving subject and object detection, whether that subject becomes temporarily obscured or moves out of the frame. The autofocus system employs new predictive algorithms that's able to, well, track the subject. And, well, Canon has employed those patent applications, almost pretty well every one that I covered, into the Canon EOS R1 by combining the new image processing system and deep learning technology to an advanced degree. Canon has achieved high-speed, high-efficiency subject recognition. For example, subject tracking accuracy has been improved so that in team sports events where multiple subjects intersect, the target subject can continually be tracked even if another player passes directly in front of them. And I wasn't just publishing those patent application videos to get views. I was doing it because I really did believe that the only way to find out what was going to be in the Canon EOS R1, and I said this in those videos, is to actually look at what Canon themselves is saying, where they're prioritizing their research and development dollars. Because when you see not just one, but dozens of patent applications improving various functions within a camera system, well, then you know that's got to show up in at least their flagship mirrorless camera. And you know, one thing I'm really happy about here is to feel vindicated. Not only did I predict the timing of the Canon EOS R1 and that we'd get the development announcement, but to actually predict a lot of these advanced capabilities that you're seeing in this press release. And it's not that I'm a great clairvoyant, that I'm able to see into the future. I'm not. I'm using research and technology, old-fashioned, where you go and you look into libraries, in this case, patent applications from the Japanese Patent Application Office, to be able to see what a company's working on, what they published themselves. And, well, let's continue reading because there's some other revelations in this press release. And this is really key here. In moments during a sports game where it's difficult to predict what will happen next, this function automatically determines, again referring to that predictive autofocus capability, it determines the player performing a certain action, such as shooting a ball, as the main subject, instantly shifting the autofocus frame, thereby helping to capture decisive moments of gameplay. Wow, you remember that video I put out a few days ago where I talked about Canon's considering monetizing subscriptions for their upcoming cameras? and it was related to autofocus, or sorry, AI enhanced capabilities. This is one of those, well, what we'd call money shots, is to be able to determine when a player is ready to launch a ball, such as in the NBA when you're covering basketball, and to be able to lock onto that player automatically. That's one of those smart functions. I also talked about getting the camera to think a little bit more like you, a little bit more like me. So when we're photographing those key sports events where back in the day, Michael Jordan would be flying through the air and launching that ball into the basket, and to be able to lock onto his eye and to be able to automatically realize, hey, look, we got a player coming up to the shoot, and automatically doing that with a whole bunch of other players in the fray, that is huge. That, if you've got a Sony A9 Mark III, if you've got a Nikon Z9, the Canon EOS R1, at least according to what Canon is saying themselves, is going to be able to improve the hit rate just a little bit more. And if you're covering major events for magazines like Sports Illustrated, that increased hit rate lands you a much better chance of getting that cover shot. And that's really big here. The improvements that Canon has made to their autofocus system based on artificial intelligence, deep learning, or machine learning, this is really huge. As I said in those patent applications, we've seen dozens of patent applications looking at improving the autofocus system here. And I know if you're a sports shooter right now, you're kind of gobsmacked. These capabilities alone, even though I was watching Peter McKinnon's video before I published this, and he kind of glossed over this a little bit, saying you don't get a lot of details in these press releases. It's typical of Canon. Well, actually we do. And for a flagship mirrorless camera that's aimed at sports photographers first and foremost, to be able to predict the path of your subject, to be able to automatically lock onto a player that's got the ball that's ready to launch, to be able to increase your hit rate is absolutely huge. It means you've got a much better chance of landing that cover shot. And for anybody shooting with an older camera, you know that your chances of landing that cover shot of something like Sports Illustrated or the front page of your local newspaper or international newspaper, that dramatically decreases. So this enhancement is absolutely huge. Other enhancements: Canon implements noise reduction function to further improve image quality and contribute to user creativity. And in closing out the press release, going forward, Canon will continue to expand the EOS R system lineup of fascinating cameras, very interesting use of fascinating, and we'll get to that in a moment, and RF lenses, thereby continuing to meet the demands of a wide range of users and contribute to the development of photography and video culture. And it's of note here that Canon does cause, and what's really of note here is that Canon calls out video culture. Now, fascinating new cameras. We do have some rumors coming up about some really interesting cameras, including the Canon EOS R5 II, which I'll get to in just a moment. But to call out video culture, we already see this with RF lenses having that Z designation, meaning that they can produce things such as parfocal zooming, at least when they're not primes. And of course, other capabilities that we would normally see in much more expensive cinema lenses. But now there's one thing I want to shift a little bit and pivot away from the Canon EOS R1 to the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And the source that confirmed that we were actually getting the Canon EOS R1 development announcement this morning in the early hours of the morning, which he nailed, also provided me with information about the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. And I'm going to be recording another video today. I'm taking the day off. I'm recording another video today, and I'm going to have that video come out tomorrow morning, which is Thursday. And one thing I can tell you is I'm going to have information in that video that is nowhere else. And Jan Wagner, I think it's Wagner. I'm sorry, Jan, for getting it wrong. I took a brief look at his video this morning, and there's stuff that he doesn't even have. Now, this channel was the first to tell you, to confirm that the Canon EOS R5 Mark II would have a 45 megapixel full frame stacked sensor. It would be a whole new design, and of course it would be backside illuminated. Well, that same source is going to provide you with other information. While we don't get into the details, it does provide you with, how shall we say, contextual or conceptual. I'm trying to think of this here. There's a special term. not really scenarios, but really who this camera is designed for. It delves a bit into some of the video capabilities, and once you hear some of the direction that Canon's taken with the R5 Mark II, I think it's going to raise a few eyebrows. Not in a negative way, but in a positive way. So that video is going to be scripted and published today to come out tomorrow morning. And so I'm really looking forward to the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. That's all I can say. And I'm smiling. And I'm not just smiling because after 2 years of being teased of the master of everything, the jack of all trades, that we finally have a development announcement for the Canon EOS R1. That's not the reason why I'm smiling. The reason why I'm smiling is yesterday I got several sources telling me that the Canon EOS R1 would be announced today. We would get a development announcement. I was given some information, and I published 3 videos yesterday talking about that, giving you my analysis, giving you my predictions, and to actually get that correct, to actually get that nailed, is not only refreshing, not only feels good, but is an incredible sense of relief. And I got a few emails this morning from some of my colleagues and competition in the space congratulating me, and that felt really good to be able to stand up on my own 2 feet, not just discussing what Canon rumors had said. And notice how I didn't cite anybody today. I had my own sources, and they were correct. And that's a really big deal. And it's not that I'm amazing, it's that these people chose to reach out to me and provide me with information. And that to me is a significant milestone. And I hope to continue to maintain their trust, and I will continue to protect their anonymity to be able to provide you with the latest and greatest information long before anybody else. I kept checking news sources all the way up till when I went to bed at close to midnight last night, and nobody was covering this, that we would have a development announcement for the EOS R1 today. Nobody. But as soon as midnight rolled over, everybody put out information. Everybody was covering it. And, you know, that certainly feels good. So when your commitment to me, your faith in me, especially those of you that started watching way back in October of 2019 when this channel was very, very green, your faith in me, your trust in me, thank you very much. And also for those who provided me with information about the Canon EOS R1. Thank you so much. But now I want to talk to you about pre-ordering the Canon EOS R1. Now, if you see on B&H and Adorama, what you can see right now is that it's coming soon. How soon? Well, that really depends on who it's coming to. And that's why I have smart pre-order links for the Canon EOS R1 in the description down below. And if I could please ask you a favor, if you are considering purchasing the Canon EOS R1, please copy down these smart pre-order links and bookmark them in your browser, because it really does help this channel grow. I get a small commission back of anywhere from 3 to 12%, which is what allows me to purchase new gear, such as the upcoming Canon EOS R5 Mark II, the 100 to 500, the 200 to 800, the 50mm f1.2, and the R5 that I've been shooting with for the better part of 4 years. A big thanks to all my all my viewers that have already used my affiliate links. Thank you so much. Now, a little bit about these smart pre-order links. While they're not effective right now, as soon as the embargo is lifted, they will be effective. And what they will show you is not just the pre-order link for the Canon EOS R1, but any kit version that Canon offers with it, but as well, if you go over to Adorama and B&H, quite often what they do, as you can see here with the R5C, is they offer up their own kit packages, maybe with camera bags, with storage cards, card readers, and other gear. So what this will do is show you every single kit package available so you can decide very quickly, and what that can do is save you anywhere from 5 to 15 seconds and get you in the queue so you can get your camera before anybody else. Now, in terms of when it's going to be available, according to my source from yesterday, it's only going to be available to pro photographers in time for the Olympics, which kind of goes against what B&H is saying, that it's going to be available soon. And for the rest of us, it's not going to be available until late summer. Nonetheless, I'm going to have my smart pre-order links in the description down below, and of course you see them right on the screen here. Again, if you could do me a favor by copying these down, by using these pre-order links, once the embargo is lifted, you are giving a huge boost to this channel. And not only that, I don't ask for money, I don't ask for anything else. This is one of those things where you get to treat yourself, buy something really nice for yourself. You don't pay any extra, you don't have to jump through hoops, you don't have to put in any codes. It takes you directly to Adorama or B&H. and you're helping me out. So it's the best of both worlds. I want to say again a thank you to everybody that has supported this channel over the years. Today is a significant milestone where I have been able to bring you information before anybody else, before Canon Rumors, who has been the leader in providing all things Canon for the past 8 to 12 years, ahead of the Camera Insider, which is no longer around, and ahead of anybody else. I'm humbled by this because I know I didn't get here on my own. I got here because of you watching at home. I got here from news sources I was able to obtain because I think being honest, being transparent, and showing integrity really matters. I think we're doing this as a team and we're building a community, and that to me matters more than anything else. That this is now something I'm building as part of my retirement plan. I'm retiring in 5 years, and I'm not retiring from this channel. This channel will become my main source of income as I move into retirement. So I'm going to be around for a very, very long time, so you can continue to enjoy a cup of coffee, a cup of tea as you watch my videos. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in, but don't forget to subscribe and choose all notifications if you want to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest concerning the Canon EOS R1, the R5 Mark II, and new lenses that will be coming out over the next couple of months. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter, because a lot of times I tweeted out information long ahead of putting out the videos, such as the confirmation that we were getting a development announcement today. I tweeted that out before I put out a video. But that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.